Sean Capri. I'm glad you're here because you're watching and listening to the most horsepowerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford. He's the weatherman on the Moose, and on our journey today, does Phil Spencer want to make good games or what? But more importantly, I played Alien Isolation, so let's talk about it here on the Xbox Drive. Blah, 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 blah.
No power greater than X.
Hello, Sean Capri.
Hello, Ryan Turford. I have to admit to something here as we are recording here live at youtube.com/carpoolgaming. I also have a window up of the stream so I can see the chat, and I love that everybody is here. But as soon as I hit go live, it started the video on the stream. So as I'm screaming, I've got an ad playing in my ear as the on the YouTube video. So if I sounded a little confused, I don't even know if you can hear me when I do that. I put you in like a
I can't hear you. You're in kind of the Fortress of Solitude over there, Sean.
Mess it up a little bit.
That's a Superman reference, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Kevin asked, what was the ad for, though? I actually haven't, like I can pay attention. All I just heard was like some lady like speaking in my ear, and I'm like, that's too much for me to handle, man. Like I can do one thing at a time. That's it. That's it. But here we are. We're back. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, man. It's been so long. We haven't done a podcast together in a while.
At least a fortnight. I heard you don't know what a fortnight is.
No, I just like to use that term, Sean.
Yeah, well, it's a thing. What if I were to let's spend the next 30 minutes just addressing the things that you have said while I've been away, Ryan?
What are you talking about? I didn't say anything bad at all.
Not about me, just in general, just like fact checking and like, you know.
Oh God, you never want to do that because of course I just you're gonna find all the bad things about me, Sean. I should just say anyways to get out of this, but I'm not that kind of person because I don't know if you knew this, Sean. It's 20 degrees outside today here in Toronto. It's like a nice day. But the sun's shining. I almost went outside today, Sean. Went to Shoppers Drug Mart before the show started. And I
need to go to Shoppers Drug Mart as well. I need shampoo and I need one other thing. What do I need?
I don't know.
Remember what the heck it was.
You think about the thing you needed. I went on, got some essentials. I swung by McDonald's and got a
very nice
McDonald's coffee and stuff like that because it was early in the morning. And I was like, man, I could have been wearing shorts because it's a really nice day outside today, Sean.
Bubbly. I need bubbly. I need a specific flavor of do you know what bubbly is, Ryan? You know, the flavored
you mean
sparkling
Bublé?
Water. The Bublé, also known as Michael Bublé, indeed. That's what I need.
Michael Bublé, with like cashing in the checks with the bubbly water.
Canadian. Yep.
Yeah.
You ever think about like Michael Bublé? Like he's known for like a really lovely voice, but like it's not like he's got like Steven Tyler range or anything. Like I feel like kind of anybody could sing like that. Like I'm just singing in this middle zone, whatever. Yeah. That's just me. That's Michael Bublé.
I try not to think about Michael Bublé too much anyways, because anyways, Sean, this is the Xbox Drive where we talk about Xbox all the time, except for when we talk about the weather or Michael Bublé. So folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of awesome ways to do that. If you're watching the live stream right now, over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the video on demand later, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, because come on, what are you doing if you haven't subscribed already? Sean, I don't know if you do this, we're 50 subs away, exactly 50 subs away from 1,500 subs on the channel.
Are we really?
Yes.
I'll tell my parents.
And then, Sean, the climb to 2,000 subs on youtube.com.
That's right. That's how this grind goes, is you reach a wonderful milestone and then you go like, all right, what's the next impossible level for us to reach? You know, it never.
You say impossible, Sean. It's not impossible. You know this. I know this.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's a thing. So youtube.com/carpoolgaming. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Also, let us know in the comments below what you think about Alien Isolation or anything else that we talk about today, or the weather. The weather in Toronto. Comments about the weather in Toronto today on May 10th, 2013. Let us know in the comments below as well. If you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to rate us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or, leave us a nice Apple Podcast review. Maybe subscribe to us if you haven't subscribed already. I mean, I have to plug this, Sean, because the PlayStation Drive has that contest going on for Final Fantasy 16.
Yes.
For podcast comments. But that just means we, the Xbox Drive, need to step up a little bit and start telling people, hey, by the way, you should rate us and leave us nice comments and stuff like that.
When was the last time you Bloodborne Rules rated us, Ryan? Have you seen this?
I have not.
On May 6th, we have a new 5-star review. Speaking of, thank you, Bloodborne Rules. That's got to be like bad bit, right? I'm afraid what this is gonna say. Okay,
Probably.
he said, Bloodborne Rule says the most horse-powered Xbox podcast. Great news coverage from Sean and Ryan on a weekly basis. They have very different tastes in games, which means you get various perspectives on things. They also have great banter between these two friends. But the best part, they care about others and have created an incredible community over at Carpool Gaming. That is,
Aww.
I'm putting it on the fridge. Like, this is what I want to do with these reviews. I want to print these out and like put them on a magnet, and that's going to be on my fridge. Like, that's like I'm tearing down all the kids' drawings and whatnot. Like, no more of that. It's going to be
It's just gonna be Apple Podcast reviews like that one. But huge shout out to Bloodborne Rules.
Yeah.
Is it Bloodborne Rules with is it rules with S or rules with Z, Sean?
With an S. Like, this is this is a kind Canadian review. Actually, that was on the Canadian side. Cody Color. Maybe we'll save this for next week. We've got a couple 2023s. Review 5-star reviews happening over here as well in the US. Okay, we got things going on over here. We're a legitimate podcast here as part of the Carpool Gaming family. One might say the most subscribed to audio podcast. Oh, snap, Ryan.
Wink.
Are we really?
No
way. The Nintendo Drive's got to be
between shows, Sean.
But, oh my god. No, I don't want rivalry. We're together.
Because Sean, some people say that a certain other drive is the only drive on Carpool.
I don't want to acknowledge that. They moved on. It's a very negative thing.
I'm glad they moved on, because otherwise we would just crush them, Sean. That's just how this works. Like, yeah,
you're playing with fire, dude. I don't endorse this at all.
I know. Let's move on. Because one other thing I want to mention, Sean, because we've been getting a lot of people posting about items they've received from this place. We have a website now.
Yes.
carpoolgaming.com, where you can actually get an Xbox Drive t-shirt or other merch. It's now cheaper. It now is faster, and the shipping is cheaper. So we've been getting a ton of people getting new shirts, and I've been loving seeing everyone's pictures in the Discord of getting our new merch, including
worldwide.
Including the Anyways t-shirt, Sean, which is flying off the shelves, I hear. In fact, because I think Fulia posted one of the ones, and she's on Australia, and she got it very quickly.
Like 4 days later, dude. Like, these things are shipping so quickly. That's very cool. I love to see it.
Yeah, exactly. So head on over carpoolgaming.com. You can see our lovely faces over there, as well as all of our content, and of course the Carpool Gaming merchandise. It's all pretty awesome. Well, without further ado, Sean, let's get our 8 tracks, pop them in. It's time for the playlist, and we played a whole bunch of games this week. So I'm going to start with you, Sean, and I want to hear what you had to say. What games you played over the break? There is one game you played that we'll talk about after we go through all the games.
That's last. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the other ones are just sort of like I've got some spare time. I jump into Spyro Remastered, which is gorgeous. I don't feel like I know what the point of playing Spyro is, to be honest with you. It's got some cool moves. I think about the old PlayStation 1 like commercials, which I feel like put Spyro as more of a dragon with an attitude, but like this game is super cute, and I never played it back in the day, and I didn't realize how much crossover there was with Skylanders. I always looked at Skylanders, the first one, Spyro's Adventure, as like that's sort of a like not real tie-in, and it totally is. Like, he lives in the Skylands, so it's kind of neat. But I'm not gonna be playing that one for much longer, I don't think. I'm not in a committed relationship with this one. And also, because Diablo 4 is coming out pretty soon here, Ryan, I have been playing a little bit of Diablo 2, mostly lost. Don't know really where I'm supposed to go. I think I've been asking you and a few others.
The journal tells you where you're supposed to go.
What direction? I don't know, man. I don't have a waypoint. So
it's procedurally generated. That's just how Diablo 4
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So I don't know. We'll see. Zelda's coming out on Friday. I think everything kind of resets, and Diablo 4 is coming out pretty soon. But I wanted to show my PC a little love, so I was playing Diablo 2 on that there old PC there.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you're actually playing Diablo 2, because that game is really awesome. The question I have for you then, Sean, I also saw you played Shovel Knight as well, because that was your committed relationship game.
Indeed.
Are you going back? Are you actually going to go back at all and play like the other expansions or modes for Shovel Knight at one point?
Can I tell this might be blasphemy? No, I don't know, man. I think that I don't want to learn how to play with any of the other characters. I think like when I think of Shovel Knight, like I don't know, like I want the pogo stick. Like, do any of them else, do the others have a pogo stick? I don't think they have a pogo stick.
So King Knight can
maybe?
bounce off people's heads because he has like this twirling move, which kind of acts like the pogo, but only for enemies. And then Spectre Knight has the ability to like shoot up or down off all like enemies or different objects and stuff.
Man.
Yeah. Either way, they're really fun. But also, you should spell it because even though this isn't a Nintendo podcast, Sean, what are the plans for Zelda in case we have people who are listening who want to know what's happening with Zelda this week?
Indeed. Friday, which is May 12th, of course, the release of Tears of the Kingdom. Seth Sturgill, co-host of the Nintendo Drive, and Ryan, I don't know if you're joining us or not. I don't even know what you're doing.
I am picking up the game at the midnight release.
You
actually pick up 2 copies because I'm going to the midnight release. But I will not be playing it.
Right. This is like some sort of statement.
No, so I actually and Rebecca and I talked about this a little bit on Twitter because when she found out, because we talked about this on RPG, I mentioned that I'm not playing it right away.
That's what I thought.
Here's the list of games I have to play this weekend, and the Diablo 4 beta, I'm playing that because I want that mount for the game. I'm playing this game here, Sean. James Cameron's Dark Angel, because I'm in a committed relationship with it apparently.
Featuring who's the
Jessica Alba.
Jessica Alba, thank you.
Yeah, I'm also playing a bunch of Alien games for this month's Pit Stop Pit Stop Retro Gaming.
Yeah,
including I'm playing Alien versus Predator on Atari Jaguar this weekend, as well as Aliens Beyond, a bunch of other consoles. So that's kind of what my weekend is looking like. And I was like, well, it's one of those things where Zelda, it will be great when I get to it. But it's going to kind of sit on my shelf. But I want to get it right away because I know it's not going down in price for at least a year.
Might as well.
So I'm like, I may as well just get it now since I have to get this other copy for someone else anyways.
I love it.
Because someone's birthday is coming up and I'm getting them it for their birthday. So,
I don't know if I know who. Well, this might be, I don't know if we can do this. I feel like there's 2 birthdays this week, at least in the carpool gaming community. Today, as we record this, is Antic's birthday. Happy birthday to Antics. And as people are listening to this on podcast feed, it's Drellesh's birthday. So happy birthday to Drellesh. Yeah. At least my calendar says that. I could be wrong, and we'll hear about that later, but I'm almost positive. If I am planting a happy birthday in the future, pretty sure it's Drellesh's birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to find out whether or not it's their birthday or not. So so Zelda this Friday. Come watch.
Okay, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live. There's a live at the end of it because somebody's squatting on our actual name. Yeah, I don't think it's us. That's a whole other story. Seth and I will be practicing science to be able to stream both of our gameplay at the exact same time. We're kind of carrying over the Carpool Gaming Day 2 subathon. We're up to 100 subs over at Twitch. If we get to 120, we're doing a full 12-hour stream of Tears of the Kingdom. So please join us for a little bit, for the whole day. Lurk at your leisure, whatever you guys like. But that is the immediate plans. We're going to have review coverage coming out. I know this is a Nintendo game. We're talking about an Xbox podcast, but apparently they don't believe in making good games on Xbox. So
there's going to be a lot of people who play on Xbox who are playing this game too, though. So it's just
definitely.
The crossover is going to be huge. So that's part of the reason why, of course, come watch, and also just come to the Twitch page anyways and subscribe even if you don't want to watch Tears.
Bowsah says I had Drellesh's birthday in my calendar as well, so either we are both right or he lied to us.
That does seem like something Drellesh might actually end up doing. But all right, to go quickly to the games that I played, Sean, just get them out of the way because I do want to talk about the other
deep dive.
I played World of Warcraft Dragonflight. I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft lately because this expansion for World of Warcraft has been really good. It's actually one of the better World of Warcraft expansions, and I might actually dare say World of Warcraft is back. In my opinion.
Really?
Yes. I think this expansion really good. It really focuses on being able to fly around this like primordial like ancient island on the back of these dragons, and you're trying to stop these elementals that are trying to kind of destroy the world. It's really, really solid. There's tons of things to do. I love all the systems they have in place for progressing your character this time around, and it's been taking up a lot of my life. Also, I have to mention as well, I was not on the show last week because I was helping my mom move, so that took up a good portion of my week last week. So I didn't have too much to play. I played Saints Row. Sean, I want to
ask you about something about World of Warcraft. I want to pump the brakes here.
Okay,
is this the first time you're jumping in with your new gaming PC with all the colors and the lights and everything inside?
Yeah, because I was playing on my old PC before. Finally playing with the new PC on ultra settings at like 4K, and the 2004 textures of World of Warcraft have never looked better, Sean. Let me tell you what.
Well said.
To be fair, they totally overhauled the visuals of the game in the last expansion. So there's brand new textures in like all the old content as well as the new content. So it actually looks pretty good in 4K, especially with the crazy spell effects and stuff like that too. So yeah, there you go. Neat. So next up, I played Saints Row yesterday, Sean, and the reason I wanted to bring up Saints Row, it got a huge, and I'm talking huge patch this week.
Huge,
changing all kinds of crazy stuff. The vision, and I hadn't played this game since it launched. Where I actually ended up doing a review for Saints Row on the channel, and I thought it was okay. Like I thought it was dumb fun. But it wasn't a masterpiece or anything like that. But I had a good time with it, and I feel like but there were a lot of technical problems with the launch of the game. All that stuff looks like it's fixed. There's also this game looks way better than it did when it first launched. There's a ton of new content in it, free content as well as DLC content. And I'm actually really excited for people to maybe pick this game up who may have, picked it up when it was on sale, or it's going to probably be on sale again in the future. But I actually think, Saints Row seems like it's actually probably pretty fixed, and I think people are going to actually enjoy it.
You don't say.
I do want to play the DLC because I have it. But I just haven't played it yet. I just wanted to, mess around in the world and try some stuff. The game's looking and running like miles better than it ran when the game first came out.
Fascinating, Ryan. That is absolutely fascinating to me. It's not like I've adopted this new soapbox of mine lately where why are we playing games on day one? Why would anybody want to pay full price to play a game that probably will be fixed a little bit later? Like, you're not talking about like a little tweak. It went from 24 frames to 30 frames. It sounds like a pretty remarkable upgrade. Ryan, this is going to be the theme. People are just going to get sick and tired of me talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
It also is a very personal thing for me because I've kind of been not keeping up with all of the latest games. So I'm like, okay, it's a way for me to kind of manage my time, but also the games are coming out broken and it's a problem. And this is another example of it. Every time it comes up, I'm going to be harping on it.
Yeah.
I ain't putting up with it anymore.
Sean, this might warm your heart a little bit less. Last night, while I was working, I was listening to the Pants Patreon podcast for Patrons Podcast.
Oh, nice.
And heard you talking about this very subject. And the thing that I thought of immediately when I heard you talking about that is now you finally understand, Sean, why I play retro games so often, or why I'm not always focused on brand new releases. Yes, I usually play a lot of games, when they're brand new.
Yep.
But for the most part, I'm actually playing old games all the time because especially there's so many old games I haven't played yet, or there's so many games just that are on my backlog that even though it's old, it's new to me.
Yep.
And that's kind of the way I look at it, where I'm more inclined to go back and play old games now more than ever, because so many of these games are coming up broken. That's part of the reason why I passed on, Jedi Survivor.
Yep.
It's also part of the reason why I'm kind of waiting and seeing with Zelda, because I'm not 100% convinced that game is not broken in any way.
Whoa. Okay.
I'm not expecting it to be, a Jedi Survivor kind of situation or a Redfall situation, but I'm also saying that
it runs on Switch hardware. What could go wrong?
Exactly. That's the thing. I think by the time I actually get to that game, there might actually be some noticeable performance improvements or other improvements, even with draw distance and things like that. So those things matter to me. So I actually I'm okay with waiting for some of these games. Although, I'm also, selfishly kind of saving myself for the June onslaught of games between Street Fighter and Diablo and Final Fantasy. I'm
save yourself for the committed
those are all
relationship that's coming
games.
Up.
And I can't wait for those games.
Look, I see the comments. I understand you guys think this is a contradiction. Court Lalonde says, aren't you buying Zelda day one? I'm not buying all games day one. I'm limiting the number of games. I'm being very choosy. And I think Zelda is a safe bet. I think Diablo 4 is going to be a safe bet. I think Forza is going to be a safe bet, although probably won't really have to worry about that one in particular. So it's not every game. I feel like in the past, it's I'll just buy whatever. I'll play it day one. Yeah. I'm not doing it anymore. Not everything, but that's not nothing. I'm living in the gray. People have to understand.
prices also really factor into that too, especially Canadian pricing on a lot of games where it's just, it's more expensive than ever to buy games here in Canada. I talked about that with Bobby from Console Creatures on an episode two weeks ago. And I really think that, it's one of those things where I was definitely the person who was the day one guy 2 or 3 years ago. I'm definitely not that person now.
My soapbox gets over into reviews as well, which I don't even know if we have time for all of this sort of stuff, Ryan. But my statement that I will make that I am sick of is reviewers are forced, apparently, to give the benefit of the doubt to a day one patch that they're not playing with. And then they will review the game as if that day one patch fixes all the issues that they experienced in the pre-day one. And sometimes it doesn't happen. We talked about this with Ori, and I'm just seeing it a lot. So, you're just ruining the credibility of the whole review process when you do that. So stop ruining it for the rest of us. Gosh.
Absolutely.
That's what I got to say about that.
Also, I've got to throw this out here as well. I also have this, Sean. I haven't even opened yet. This came in on Monday. This is the LA edition of Dead Island 2.
Nice.
Which I'm also really excited to play.
LA, I get it. Like LA.
Because actually, I don't know if you knew this, Sean, because Bobby and I talked about that on that episode. The game itself, just the normal version of the game, is $100 digitally before tax.
Yeah.
But this LA edition was actually on sale on Amazon for $100, and it comes with all the DLC and a steelbook and a bunch of other physical goods. So that's actually the reason why I was like, okay, I think I'm going to pull the trigger on this while it's on sale, and just grab it when I can. So that's part of the reason why I actually ended up spending this, and I'm glad I waited, because for the same price of the normal version of the game, I got this awesome physical edition with all the DLC, which is $140 currently digitally. So I'm actually glad that I pulled the trigger on that. But anyway, Sean, we've talked long enough. Also, shout out to Redfall. I played it a little bit. I know you and Donnie talked about it on last week's show. And I kind of put that game down because of the way it performs on PC and consoles. I'm going to wait at this point. I'm glad I at least tried it out, because I think it's a game I'm going to enjoy when they fix a lot of the little things, which is part of the reason why I don't want to ruin that experience anymore by playing more of it. I kind of just want to wait for it to be patched at this point. But because I had played it last week, thinking I might be on the show last week, Sean, so I wanted to make sure that at least one of us played Redfall. But now I don't have to worry about that. We can just kind of wait on this.
Nope. And you don't have to do that if you don't want to, by the way. Who cares? We'll do what we want.
Exactly. Well, Sean, speaking of doing what we want, we got the one more game we got to talk about. This was your last community relationship game before Shovel Knight. It's been a little while since you finished this game.
Yes.
But you haven't been on the show since you finished it, and I've been chomping at the bit to try and talk about this game with you, because I know you didn't really love it, but I want us to figure this out together, Sean. Okay. So tell me a tale of Alien Isolation.
Oh man. Well, I set the mood. I just want to let you know that I played Alien Isolation as a result of a tournament bracket that we did a number of weeks ago, maybe even a couple months ago now. I feel like you had a heavy hand in making sure that this one pushed through over top of, I think it beat out Miles Morales, like Spider-Man Miles Morales, I think was where it came down to. So there was that. But I was excited. This is a game that I've had my eye on for a long time. I love the Alien franchise, and this has been heralded as the game that you need to be playing, but it's from 2014, which actually isn't going to come into my consideration too much here. I don't think that there's too much from a performance kind of thing, like how it looks, or
unless you played it on Switch, that would be the only way that would be a problem.
Apparently it runs great on Switch.
Well, there you
go. I mean, I might have to double check my Digital Foundry, but I'm pretty sure it runs as good or better than the Xbox One and PS4, but that's for another story. Didn't play it on Switch. I mean, I don't know that I have too much unique things to say as far as to set it up. The atmosphere is incredible. It does feel like I'm in an Alien movie, and the xenomorph is as terrifying as you would imagine. But yeah, I feel like I'm just going to end up regurgitating Ryan McCaffrey's review on IGN, that it's not a 10, it's not a 5. It is somewhere for me, somewhere in that 7 zone. But I was frustrated, Ryan. I was frustrated so often. I posted a clip where I had scared off the xenomorph. It jumped up into the vent. So I'm like, I think I'm good. I go into the next room, and it's standing there waiting for me. How is that possible? So I felt like that coupled with the save system, which is old school, like horde survival kind of thing. You've got to find your save spot. There's no autosave. It's not helping you out at all. So I found myself like replaying a lot of the game over and over. And that's just because I suck at it. And that's the way the games are designed. So it was a little frustrating on that front, my friend. That, and then one other thing, because I know you have a lot of questions, is I didn't realize until a particularly long disbursement between save points that I could just be like walking down the hall, think I'm good, see nothing, and then all of a sudden he just the alien, she maybe it, just snatches me from the vent. Like I couldn't walk underneath like openings in the vent above me, so I didn't know that was a thing. So it was just a little disheartening, but also very good.
I also love like whenever we did a podcast while you were on break, you'd come in my chat and you'd be like, I died again. And then I died again.
I died so much. I died so much. And everything. It's not even just the xenomorph that can kill you. And I'm not going to go into full spoilers here, but there are people on this ship. There are androids on this ship, which are maybe even more terrifying than the xenomorph itself.
They're kind of creepy.
These dead eyes, but they're like light. They're there to help you, but they seem to be malfunctioning. Like it got to a point where I did want it to be over. I did want it to be completed. And the more I wanted it, it seemed like whether they were puzzles or just procedural stuff that I needed to get to, like say the next room. It goes like, well, go to this side of the room or this side of the station and unlock this box so that you can go back to the other side and then push this button to release a valve and whatever. Like, come on. Like I didn't like that from a like purely design standpoint, aside from all the frustrations that I had. It just like, it felt like, I don't know, maybe it was to you. Is this part of it being sort of like built in the 70s kind of thing, that it felt like those are all the levers and buttons and things that you would have to push, pull and destroy in the alien world? If you go back
and watch the original Alien movie, that is kind of how their technology worked, where it was sci-fi based off 1970s technology or 1970s
very mechanical
would look like. In fact, there's a whole documentary that they actually did, Creative Assembly, the creators of the game, that they did on YouTube, and they talked about the technology and how they actually put all that stuff together. They talked about also, like, even with some of the video that they had on the monitor, they actually would record in-game footage and then put it on a VHS tape and then like mess with the tape a lot. Like pull the tape out and stuff like that, so it's all like scratched up, and then put it back in the VCR and then play it out and capture it into the game. Like stuff like that is amazing. Just, like really cool to think about. And again, to your point, like it really, like, one of the things I loved about it as someone who loves the original Alien, it's my favorite movie of all time, Sean. I loved that it really felt like being in that world, being in that movie, in a way that none of the other Alien games really ever did. And it just, again, made the xenomorph terrifying, as it should be. Because if you ran into a xenomorph in real life, Sean, it's gonna pretty much one hit kill you too. Right?
Definitely. And the death sequences are great. You know, like if it's sneaking up behind you, you'll look down and you got the tail kind of cutting through you, and the two mouths, it just giving you a little smoochy smooch. Or
I love when it like pulls its hand like over your face and then just covers your face.
It's really good.
Yeah.
You know, things kind of opened up for me a little bit when I got the flamethrower, so I could at least defend myself a little bit. It doesn't like fire, so you can kind of just like blast away at it and buy yourself a couple of moments. But like, it'd be interesting to see how you played it, because it seems like you I don't know, like games that trip me up like this don't seem to trip you up at all. Like you just seem to understand what the blueprint is, so you know where to go and how to lurk. Like I was listening to a podcast, they talk about Hitman. They're like, they like Hitman. I'm like, I want to like Hitman too, but I just feel like no matter what I do, I'm always going to get seen and caught. And so that's very frustrating for me, Ryan.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just has to do with, I don't think, we didn't talk about this when you were picking your games, but I hadn't really thought about the idea of you not playing too many stealth games, or stealth games weren't really like your favorite genre.
I just don't get it. Like I wish they were, because they're so cool. Like Metal Gear Solid is a great example of this. I wish to God I love that game, but I can't sneak around. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about that when we're picking it, because that definitely, I think, played into your frustrations. Because for someone like me who actually really likes stealth games, and I am actually like, pretty good at stealth in games, like it wasn't a breeze, but it was certainly I was certainly easier. Like it was certainly easier, I think, for me to kind of get through the experience and be less frustrated. So I can definitely understand where you're coming from on that aspect, which is why, like, to Nagachaka's question, because we got a couple questions about this.
Oh, okay.
Or not. Nagachaka asks, as someone who abandoned Alien Isolation because I found the stealth aspects punishingly difficult and frustrating, what would you say to persuade me to maybe give the game another chance? And the answer is, I mean, Sean, you can probably attest to this. The answer to this is, well, if you thought that it was that punishing to the point where you put it down, I think you should just leave it put down. It might just not be for you. Especially because of the length of the game kind of plays into that recommendation a little bit as well, as you learned, because I think, now that you've played it, Sean, you and I won't spoil this moment, but there's a very specific moment that happens in that game where you're like, man, this is where they should have ended this game. But they didn't.
Oh, definitely.
It just kept going, and then going, and then going, and I'm like, what is this game going to end? And
that's where I started to notice, like, holy, they really do send me from this place to this place. And what I want to respond to this too, Ryan, because I think what maybe I'm frustrated with this game and other stealth games that other games do maybe a better job is like, and I agree with your recommendation, like stay away, because this game and most stealth games don't teach you how to stealth.
Right.
Like most games do a good job of teaching you about its core mechanic. And like this game will give you devices, like you can have things that like a flare or a flash and you can make noise somewhere else, or you can fiddle with power throughout the station. You can make like the air cleansing turn on or off, which like puffs out smoke. You can be, I guess, not seen. But I just felt like I didn't know what was working and what wasn't, to be honest with you. Like I kind of, in some cases, I felt like I just fluked out. And one time I was trying to be stealthy, and it was 20 minutes. And I'm like, I'm still not getting anywhere. And I just ran and I like got seen, I got shot at and whatever else. And I just made it to the next one. I'm like, that's not how I want to play it either. It's like the old Call of Duty stuff. You just run to the checkpoint and then it would.
Well, there's also certain places where the alien isn't hunting you, but you don't know that. So it's like, do I run? Like, is it safe to run here?
Right.
And stuff like that. And you kind of have to suss that out a little bit. And that also plays into the mechanic of the save system, because the reason why the save system is set up that way is it's meant to heighten the tension. Where even like it can be a little bit frustrating to lose a lot of progress. It's also, again, there to make those tense moments like even more tense.
No, but I disagree with that.
Longer.
What's funny is I died so often that it ruined the tension after a point where I'm like, all right, I'm dead again. Like, the aliens over there, it's gonna get me. Like that. Okay, that's it. So like, I kind of it was, the tension was less about like being scared of what was hunting me and more about I'm gonna have to restart this thing pretty soon. Like that's kind of where I ultimately got to, which is a disheartening place. It's not really fun. But I did enjoy shooting some of those robots in the head.
That's true. In fact, again, there are certain points of the game where, again, if you know the alien's not around and you've got other enemies, it's so satisfying to use.
Oh, and the face huggers. Is that a spoiler? I don't know if it's a spoiler.
That's a spoiler, but whatever.
Okay, well,
yeah.
I rustled against some boxes and it's like, here it is.
It just appeared.
Any game with those like little, like if it's Halo or Half-Life or this, anything with like little crabby, like little enemies, no.
That are one-hit kill enemies, of course.
Terrible enemy design. Get it out of here.
And those are just common in an Alien game, whether it's this one or other Aliens games.
Yeah, they're right to do it.
Yeah, because it's it's part of the franchise, which again we'll explore more at the end of the month with Pit Stop Retro Gaming's look at the history of Alien games. Shameless plug here. And then the Muffin Mon, Kevin Ainsworth, asked the question: who would you recommend Alien Isolation to? And I'll let you answer this one in a second, Sean, because I think if you like stealth games and you like Alien, I think this is a slam dunk. Like, you're going to actually probably really enjoy this game a lot. Yes, it goes on a little bit too long, but it's one of my favorite games of that generation because I'm into this style of game. So I think that those are the people that are going to get more enjoyment out of it. Whereas I just think if you're not into stealth games, or if you don't like Alien, like you're probably better to kind of, find other games to play. But what do you agree with that, Sean? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's still worth like trying for sure. I think part of my thing is that I played it all the way through, so I have a pretty thorough understanding of what's offered here and where maybe you could have ended. Yeah, like I don't know. Like I think I agree 100% that if you're into stealth games and or Alien, you should try it out. And if there's a point where you kind of bounce off, I would definitely encourage people to like push through. Like don't just reach a point where a game is hard and go like I'm out. Like that's So I went the other extreme. I pushed through the entire way.
Yeah, you don't want to force yourself to do it.
You may find that you're actually able to handle the stealth stuff, and you may discover some way of using the tools and the tech that it kind of throws at you. That maybe you'll have a good time. But yeah, it was a little bit frustrating for me.
Yeah, it's totally understandable. I'm glad you at least played it, Sean, because at least now we finally have this in common now. And not only that too, I'm glad that you at least you went outside of your comfort zone and tried something really different. Like that was more the reason why I wanted you to play it more than anything, was I knew that it was different from almost every game that you usually play. Totally. So I wanted you to try something like totally different. And I'm glad that it, even if it didn't totally work out, I totally understand.
All good. I'm glad definitely my big takeaway is I am glad that I played it. It would have it's because I feel like it's been haunting me. Sorry for the pun. For a long time. It's been on the list. It's been on the backlog. So it feels good.
Yeah. Also, I love the fact too that two of your committed relationship games both came out the same year, 2014. Alien Isolation and Shovel Knight both came out in the same year, which is just crazy to think about, because I remember those were my top two games, two favorite games of that year. So
we're about to discover, Ryan, on this whole I'm not playing brand new games all the time, that the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 generation was incredible.
It's pretty good.
Quantum Break, you're coming up pretty soon here, my friend. You're on deck.
In fact, I feel like at some point, Sean, we need to do a whole episode devoted to Quantum Break and just talk about it.
Oh God,
I love that game too, and we never you and I never got that opportunity to talk about it together, because I was on Game Moose at the time, and then you were on. I can't remember if Xbox Drive was.
I don't even know if I was doing the Xbox Drive at that. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Probably not.
Yeah. So, I would love to talk to you about that game at one point. And also, Mike UK's question in the chat: Aliens Dark Descent, is it good? It's coming out next month. It looks pretty good. That's the Aliens tactical game. And it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm actually excited to try it out. It's part of the reason why I'm actually doing kind of the pit stop episode at the end of the month, is to kind of tee up Aliens Dark Descent, and I am actually excited to play it, although it comes out the same day as Final Fantasy 16. So it's going to maybe have to wait a little bit first before I
just found out what I was doing when Quantum Break came out in 2016, Ryan Turford.
What's that?
I was writing for a website called WeTheNerdy.com, and my review is still up there right now. I'm I think I reviewed this thing.
Nice.
Let's see did I score this thing? Let's see, what did I score? I don't know if there's a score at the end here.
I know for us, we also reviewed it, and I think Drew McMillan reviewed it for us, but game-moose.com no longer exists, Sean, so I can't go back and look at it.
I feel like the pictures that would have had the score have been removed from the older version of the website, but yeah.
Well, Sean, moving on, we only have so much time left in the show, so we gotta talk.
Snap.
We got to talk about this one thing that I know you're ready to roll the clip for, Sean. We got to talk about Phil Spencer's Kind of Funny XCast interview, because I know people have been waiting for us to talk about this. So
just make good video games. That's it.
Just make good video games. Donnie Reese on the show said this, and then the very next day, Phil Spencer goes on the Kind of Funny podcast, whatever it's called, and basically denounced it. Basically, he admitted that he was watching our show, Ryan.
I have an exact quote, Sean, if you allow me.
Yeah, please.
Phil Spencer, on the topic of good games, he says, I see the commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true. If we go off and build great games, you won't see console share shift. Is what
just make good video games. That's it.
I couldn't disagree more, Ryan. I could not disagree more. I love the simplicity and the boldness of what Donnie said the day before this, and I really like Phil Spencer. I think what he has done for Xbox has been transformational. I don't even know if we would have Xbox Series X if it wasn't for him. The way Xbox One was going and how it launched, and connect only, and internet and sports and TV and all the other stuff that people really disliked about it. It costs $100 more than the PS4 and all the things. This is the first time that I've really disagreed, and I couldn't disagree more vehemently, Ryan. You do have to make great video games. Maybe the subcontext of what he's trying to say is that's not all they have to do, in which case I do agree with that. They do, because they're in third place and they don't have the history, They have to do more than just make good video games, but you should still make great video games.
Yeah, like that's what that's what people like brings people into PlayStation is the fact that they have great video games like that. Like that's what sells your console. That's why you're buying a console is for great video games. So of course it's going to be. And yeah, you're right, Sean. I really feel like, you know, he might not have phrased this correctly, where I think you're right. That it might be more, there might be more to it than that. It maybe there's more to it. Like you have to have great games and other things to make your console attractive. Or your ecosystem attractive. But yeah, like it really just it hurts.
It didn't come off.
Kind of see that quote.
Didn't come off well. He look, he was having a rough week. Like I think we can all give him that. There's a lot of kudos that has and should be sent his way as far as like, dude has been just slaving away, just really working hard at making sure that Xbox is in a really good place. And with the CMA thing and Redfall and a bunch of others, like it just seemed like, you know, dude wasn't having a very good week. So maybe he wasn't totally on his A game as far as like public appearances go. That's about as much of the benefit of the doubt maybe that I'll extend. Kevin Ainsworth in the chat here from Save the Game Media said, I mean, that isn't quite what he said. He said making good games won't win them the console sales war, which Kevin agrees with. I disagree. I think that making good games can win them a console war, if you want to call it that. But I again reiterate that they do have to do one other thing too. They still have to do that. But to take any of the focus away from games, like for me, my big takeaway from that is like that kind of explains all of this.
Yeah,
it kind of explains the entire situation that Xbox is in. If the top dude is like making great video games isn't going to win us the console war, I'm like, I get it. I completely get every single thing that we've been frustrated with over the last however many years. And I'm somebody who's happy with his Xbox. I really enjoy Xbox. I will continue to play on my Xbox, but that's a tough blow for a lot of fans who don't always kind of look into this sort of thing with any benefit of the doubt. They hear a guy say something like that and they're like, I'm out.
Yeah, at that point, it's like, well, why? Like, I've heard this comment many times, including like, you know, I saw clips of this from Podcast Unlocked going around this weekend of like, well, at that point, then when you hear something like that, why are you even, you know, staying fans of Xbox?
Why would I buy the console?
Like, why would I continue to
play the games?
This? Yeah, like why would I support this ecosystem when there are great games over here on Nintendo Switch or PlayStation? Like that's one of the reasons why you're right. Like that there has to be some focus on the games themselves, like being good in order to get people in there. Like
it would be a good start. It'd be a really good, and it would be a good ambition and aspiration to have. Like, why? I understand. Let's not make like a Last of Us. Like, let's not have an Xbox version of Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I understand that. Like, I actually kind of that's what I want. And even from an Xbox community standpoint, we've talked about this often. Like, we've had Ori. Ori is one of the best games ever made. We have Gears. We have so many of these really great franchises. And I feel like the community there's something like sucking the energy out of it. Like, we don't evangelize some of these incredible experiences that we have had. So then when you do get a Redfall, it's like there's no built up, there's no like capital, there's no fanfare of that can withstand this, unfortunately.
Yeah, because at this point in the year, everyone's kind of forgot about Hi-Fi Rush being like on open credit.
And that's part of my argument.
Highest rated game of the year
totally
on any platform. But you know that doesn't matter when Redfall is a 59 on Open Critic somehow. And yes, it's a 59 now, which is just weird to think about. But it's disappointing to hear stuff like that. But at the same time, you know, I still have hope, you know, that Xbox can turn things around, and I'm excited for the showcase because I know you and Donnie talked about the showcase last week. That's coming up in June. That we will probably be in person for. Hopefully, maybe we'll see. We're still showing that up. But like I'm excited to see all the new stuff that they've got. But man, these are just some deflating comments that it's like it's the classic facepalm moment when I read stuff like this.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look. I don't think he's walked it back like even a little bit. Nope. It wasn't like I meant this, which maybe you say what you say and then you walk away and get back focused on doing whatever else you're doing. Yeah. But it would have been nice to go like, yeah, we'd really like for one of our games to be game of the year like that. What's wrong with saying that? Like, what's wrong with aspiring to putting out one or two of the best games that you'll play? and maybe this gets into the Blizzard Activision thing, and I'm flipping them on purpose, Ryan, because you mentioned World of Warcraft, Diablo 4 is coming out here. Like all the focus is on Call of Duty, but that there Blizzard, they got some good stuff as well. Yeah. But maybe what if that was on the Xbox ecosystem? That's why I'm excited. Unfortunately, they have to spend $69 billion to do it. But like, I think he'd be saying a different, like he'd be singing a different song if they had Diablo, if they had those types of games in their stable. And it's like, well, yeah, suddenly having the best games ever kind of makes a difference, doesn't it? And it probably wins you the console war, and it probably sells you more Game Pass subs as well. So I don't understand what exactly he's trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it was just, more than anything, I think it was just timing with it, the interview being literally like the day after the Redfall reviews kind of came out. Because, Phil mentions it during the interview, and he says, quote, "We do mock interviews for every game that we launch, and Redfall is double digits lower than what we thought the game would actually be." So it sounds like the mock reviewers made it sound like, to Phil anyways, that this was probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10 kind of game, and it comes out and it's a 6 or a 5. And they had this interview booked ahead of time, thinking that this game was going to be a 7 or 8, and just going to talk about it. But it is a lower thing. So I think he was like, knocked back a little bit by this one. But it's also just I question, after playing Redfall, I questioned those mock reviewers and being like, well, wait a second.
Same here.
How was this that I'm playing right now supposed to be in the 7s or 8s out of 10 when reviews came live? Because there's no way that was supposed to be.
Do you think where it landed is where it should be? Like, given you haven't played the entire game, but like, is it way off? Like, is it?
Yeah, I think it's, from what I've played so far, it's probably in the mid 6s for me, if I was to rate it. And I think a lot of it has to do with performance issues more than anything. Having, because even on PC where the frame rate is really good and I've got this really nice PC, it just like chugs all the time, even on some of the lowest settings. Whereas I can play, Resident Evil 4 remake in 4K at ultra settings at 70 frames a second or higher. It's just, it hurts.
I can't see, says, wonder if he was trying to word things to not sway the ABK deal. Like, I think we got a pretty unfiltered.
I think
Phil
so
Spencer
too.
There.
I
like, and that's good. Like, definitely, I like seeing a human being. Like, I'll definitely give him credit for that. I like seeing someone who is obviously cares and wants to make this better. I don't want to take that away from this, but just the direction, I'd like it a little better. Yeah,
it hurts. But all right, Sean, enough about the negativity. We got to move on, because I know we gotta get going. So
no, we got one more thing. Can we talk about Starfield? Can we talk about the one? I don't know. Is that on the list? Are we talking about Starfield?
It was on the list. The ESRB rating stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see? Well, there's jetpack sex in Starfield, Ryan. So not only is this game about space, which I love, but I mean, like, who wouldn't want to experience some jetpack sex? You know what I mean?
All the rating says is just sex. It doesn't say jetpack sex.
Well, blame IGN, because that was on their thumbnail or their picture. So
I know. Yeah.
How does that work exactly? I need a diagram.
I mean, are you both on jetpacks, or is it just one of you?
Like, it's just one.
Yeah,
seems kind of like, the more you think
positioning,
about it,
all seems like it'd be weird too.
Violent. Holy cow. What about like airlocks?
I want to get TPR in here real quick before we go, Sean. The TPR, aka Taylor, aka Trevor, asks the question this week. And of course, he's back asking his questions.
Yes,
of course.
Welcome
He
back.
wanted to get mega involved again with Carpool Gaming. I'm submitting a question every week of the week for every show, as long as I can. Week 1 of the Xbox Drive. I think Redfall looks like a cool game underneath the surface. What game that isn't No Man's Sky did you wait to get better, or your patience paid off, Sean? So is there a game you waited on to get fixed and your patience kind of paid off? For me, there isn't really one that comes to mind, because as I mentioned earlier in the show,
all the games
before this year.
Yeah, man.
Very much my mindset was I will play at everything at launch. So there weren't many games that fall into this category. I guess the one that makes sense for me anyways is Final Fantasy 14. because I didn't play the
Good one.
original version
Yep.
of Final Fantasy 14 that came out for PlayStation 3, the broken version. I actually decided to wait, and eventually they rebooted the whole game and brought it back as a Realm Reborn, which is the version of Final Fantasy 14 that we have now. And that's when I jumped into it, and it was amazing. And I'm so glad that I actually ended up waiting. So that's the only one that I can really, come up with. But of course, that's the most Ryan Turford answer of all time. And I wanted to think of something different.
Is it?
But that's what I got. Yes, of course it is, Sean. But what about you? What do you think about this question?
It's a good question. I'm scrolling through games and like nothing is really coming to mind. Like I even played Grounded in early access. Like it's completely the opposite of the entire approach. I played a game, like I'm just gonna keep giving examples of why I should be doing this more often. Immortals Phoenix Rising got a bug in it, and I ruined my save, and I couldn't keep playing that. Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't think I have one, unfortunately.
Because a couple of those examples would have worked better for
Dying Light.
Like, okay,
Dying Light 2 is my example, and I haven't even played it yet, but I think that it runs better now than it did at the start.
Yeah.
But I do own it, and I will get to it. I guess that's.
I mean, the other ones I would have brought up were Ori and the Will of the Wisps, or Psychonauts 2. But because we reviewed those,
reviewed them. Yeah, man.
Because we reviewed them, that's just why we didn't really have that approach. Whereas I think they're way better now, or even way better after the couple patches that came out after launch for both those games. That really kind of turned those around a little bit. That if we wouldn't have been reviewing them and we would have waited, I think that would have been the best way to experience.
Dude,
those.
I just saw a 61 gigabyte patch for The Last of Us on PC.
Yeah,
it's out of control. It is just ridiculous. So act accordingly. Save the Game Media said they like overhauled the entire combat system in Dying Light 2 or something. So there you go. Like I'll be playing a completely different game than what is reviewed. So I don't know.
There you go. Well, anyways, we got to get going, Sean. But before we go, Sean, plugs go.
On Friday, join us, twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live. Seth Sturgill and me, and maybe Ryan will be there also. We don't really know. We'll figure it out. Join us on Twitch. We're going to be playing Tears of the Kingdom for Zelda Week and Zelda Weekend. It's going to be great. So find me there. And also, if you would like to go to your local internet cafe, buy a coffee, sit down with a muffin, open Netscape Navigator, because that's probably the time that you've gone to, Ryan.
Of course.
Go to www.twitter.com/Sean Capri. Sean like Connor, Capri like the pants, my friend. Good to be back with you, dude.
Good to be back, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. Also on Twitter, you can also find Ed Boon tweeting about Mortal Kombat 12.
Oh,
yes. Being hinted, it sounds like it's going to be announced at the end of the week, which I'm super excited about because I love Mortal Kombat. You also find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, on YouTube at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, and on podcast services around the globe. So for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 290 of the Xbox Drive. Only 10 more episodes until episode 300. And we're out. Bye.
If you just make good podcasts, you can't just make good podcasts and expect people to listen, because that totally doesn't matter. That's exactly what Phil Spencer said. Obviously not. There's a little bit different. I'm really enjoying the Ryan Turford, and I got to do this again. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye, bye, bye.
No power greater than X.